Make sure that you get up here often and frequently.
Nice to meet you.
Can I actually put my quasi juice there?
Yeah.
So when he gets ready, we're gonna hit that that's vibes and stuff. It's gonna loop off. Oh wait, don't stop. It's gonna loop. So all we do is just vibes and stuff, let it ride, we do our intro, and then stop when we go.
Okay. No problem. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Don't talk to me like that, okay?
What you mean don't talk to me like that?
I'm your baby. I just need $10.
Okay. Obviously it's not there. That's why I say don't worry.
You get big $10.
It's all the same. Don't worry about it. So, I'm cool.
Are you sure?
Tonight's show will be all wrestling. Special theme for the evening. So he said, lock the door. Nobody gets out alive.
I think we're gonna keep on open.
All right. Alright, we're gonna get this piece started right now.
Now you get the show on the road.
Time to do it.
We are experiencing technical difficulties.
24?
Bounce with me.
DJ, please stand by.
DJ, please stand by.
Which one is considered Mikey? All right.
I remember the first time I hit play.
And I was looking for vibes. You know, I was looking for that back here. I might have to. No, it's not that one. You got
That's where you put it on.
No. It's a tribe. It's a tribe vibes and stuff.
You just play whatever you want to.
Yeah, this is, you know, what we do. We just gonna make it happen.
No, which one is it?
It's the first time that we get up on stage. This is what we do every day. It's me at home on the microphone, acting like we don't know.
It's not scripted.
No, it's not scripted. That's right.
It's both of them.
You think so?
Let's try.
Freestyle,
Let me get back. Let me get back.
Horizon.
Let me get back to the vibes and stuff. Not tip. It's called vibes and stuff.
Vibes and stuff.
No wrong, but it's
It's all right. I mean, it's not. It's going closest we Thank you. But I guess I'll have to get back over there.
He ain't got no arrow,
Yeah,
but
let me see. What do you say to stop? What?
you see what I'm saying?
I love you guys to death. I'm sorry. I love you guys to death. Check this out.
We are professionals. Please don't try this at home.
Really, Jason?
It was this one right there.
Okay, babe. Okay.
There we go.
It's a remix.
Yeah.
How you gonna play us like that?
Do we need to start it over?
That sounds like our intro.
No.
I think I needed a rewind, but we did a couple of rewinds. But this right here is Visions of Babylon presents UtterDeliverance. Killing me. And what we do every second and fourth Wednesday is we give you open mic spoken word.
So we not getting paid.
Some very great local talent here. And this is what we do with our intro. It's called The Word. Sit back and don't procrastinate. Clean off the bells like it's time to be straight so you can get pushing. When you remember 2/14/77, the day I returned from heaven. Because 10 years later, I learned to trade and being nothing else but grace. So now my verbal status you with me. Deep deposit contemplate. Because if you let my mental slate, I'm going to leave y'all delirious. It's time for my man, Babylon AG, to get serious.
In the beginning, there was a word, and it was good. It was not a twitch or a sigh. It was not to sell or to buy. It was not deciphered by the whims of an audience or passersby. It was the word, pure and simple.
Because it's the word. I know you heard, oh yes, it's absurd. Down deep, oh yes, it's the word.
The word has taken many forms. We sing and enjoy. We play it like a toy. We use it to build up and then to annoy. We could inspire others, but instead we destroy. Every plan, every ploy that we seek to annoy begins with the word.
And it's the word, I know, yo, it's absurd. Down deep, oh yes, now you heard.
The word cannot be avoided or ignored. We defend, but it cuts like a sword. Every time that we're quiet, every time that we're bored, the word dances through the cluttered halls of our minds. It screams to us from public radio. It streams to us from podcast shows. Even when no one possibly knows a goddamn thing that they're talking about, the word keeps spewing forth.
It's the word. It's so absurd, the deep is you heard. It's the word, oh no, it's the word.
The word can tell you what cereal to eat. It will tell you why her beat is better than his beat. It will give you the whitest of teeth and the tastiest of salted meats. It will amaze you with worthless feats broadcast to your brain on YouTube. It's the word.
It's the word. I know you heard, oh yes, it's the word. Down deep, oh no, it's absurd, but it is the word.
The word cannot be owned or contained. The words you hated last year are the words you'll love today. They come to you in the usual way, muttered by beautiful people when you can't hear what they say. They're plastered on billboards when you're just trying to make your way. They scream to you every night and every day, and though they litter every visual space, you will not give them sway, but they will not be ignored.
It's the word.
Contrary to popular belief, the revolution was televised. It was streamed across Netflix and Hulu and Google and Yahoo, and so the pundits could start to homogenize and generalize every original thought that it once contained. It was drilled into your brain until you were paralyzed. The flood of media around you means that your every thought is minimized. The word rains down on us all until you could no longer sympathize with the plight of your fellow man.
The word. I know you heard, oh yes, it's the word. Down deep visions of Babylon. It's the word. It's absurd.
The word is still among us, but you've grown numb. Your words could affect change, but you twiddle your thumbs. You try to speak out, but your tongue has grown numb. There was a time when you knew the power of words. A time before you succumbed. But no matter where you go, no matter what you become, in the end, there will still be the Word.
The Word, the Word. I know you heard down deep, it's absurd. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, yes, thank you much for coming here this evening. We have some great, great, great people coming up on stage very shortly. I want you to remember one thing, respect the mic, because that's what we like, and know that this is utter deliverance.
Whatever you're feeling tonight, whatever moves you, if you want to watch, you watch. If you want to listen, you listen. If you want to get up and spit, get up here and spit. It doesn't matter if you need to read it. It doesn't matter if you've memorized it. It doesn't matter if you want to dance it. If you want to strum it on the guitar. This is your spot, your place, your word tonight. If you're not on the list, make sure you get there.
Because remember, right now you are home. This is your house, and you're comfortable in here with us. This utter deliverance.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start with a little something different tonight. Trying to get out some pieces that you may not have heard before if you've been to previous shows. I'm going to spit something here real quick, and then we can have Melissa coming up on the mic right after that, okay?
That's so silly. I can't believe it just. It's all good.
So amongst the list of things that I really need to get memorized, which is not, but if you wait for me to get it all memorized, you might not hear it for the next 10 years. So we'll try a little reading exercise today. This was something I wrote originally 20 years ago in New Orleans. Tweaked it a little bit recently. It's called Frozen Solid in a Pressure Cooker. Heat looms over the city like a life sentence and roams his way through the busy streets and back alleys, searching for his next victim. He dances and skips, prances and flips from sidewalk to storefront, boardwalk to beachfront, bearing down upon the restless souls of the Delta. Joey lifts his head from the glass of lemonade over which he's been hovering, and he asks in a desperate tone whether or not it's 4 o'clock yet. No, I tell him, it's 1. And the sigh which follows reflects his hollow depression as he meekly tries to swallow another gulp of lemonade. Across the street, heat jauntily harasses old woman of 70, maybe 80, even she's lost count with any certainty. Old woman fights back, but to no avail, fanning her forehead with all the grace of a beached whale, pawing and posturing over her leathery skin. Heat cares not for her desperate travails. For a moment, she catches my eye and looks to me as though I can free her from heat's relentless spree. But I only shrug, vainly searching the horizon for clouds. Joey finishes off his 4th lemonade of the hour and begins to search through his pockets for another 99 cents. There is only 40. He turns his head to me and squints into the sun, asking in a painful tone whether or not it's 4 o'clock yet. No, I tell him, it's 1:30. And the look arising on his shiny face reflects his disbelief. Heat pounces upon Fly and feeds his massive hunger for annoyance. Buoyed by the misery of the day, Fly spins and buzzes, flitting first to one ear, then to the other. For a moment, just for an instant, I truly believe that Fly has reached my brain, causing a more exquisite kind of pain, a pain that borders on inhumane. And with the most unforgiving of disdain, Fly begins to train his attention on all that remains of my sweat-soaked sanity. The misery stains the very core of my patience as Fly tears and slices, rips and shreds until my mind can take no more. And Fly is gone, borne upon wings of humidity and oppression. Joey wipes the sweat from his brow with a handkerchief that has seen better days and throws his fans to the ground, realizing that his futile attempts at relief have done nothing more than assist Heat in his ongoing battle. He watches several new drops roll down the bridge of his nose and fall to the sidewalk below. Lifting his head to the sound of a distant ice cream truck, he wonders aloud whether or not it's 4 o'clock. No, I tell him, it's 2. The resulting moan says more than words ever could. Heat grabs Tourist and laughs at his ignorance, twisting and straining out of him whatever comfort might have remained in his corpulent body. Tourist, is mounted like a $5 whore, and Heat starts to laugh, cackling for more. Tourist doesn't realize the stakes in this war. Cameras and handbags transform to millstones in the shimmering glare of afternoon, and Tourist wishes that he had them no more. Broken air conditioning and dingy cafes offer a landscape that Tourist has come to abhor, and Heat comes to terms with another victory. Joey stands and rubs his clammy skin, only to surrender once again to the stoop that has become his prison, his pen. His head returns my way, trying to assess my condition and how much longer I will hold out before Heat becomes my master again. The words are checked in his throat, but it's not long before he has to give in to the temptation. Trying a smile but falling miserably, he asks whether or not it's 4 o'clock yet. No, I tell him, it's 2. And I realize that the hands on my watch are stuck, but for a moment, for one fleeting instant, I wonder if they really are. We both wonder if they really are. Up next is Melissa. Let's give a big round of applause for Melissa.
Hey!
So I thought a lot about this week, like communicating and speaking from the heart and like how difficult it is. And I'm really thankful that I came back and like some people recognized me, and that was really great. And thank you for making me feel welcome. Okay, you're good. I often don't say much because it scares me to speak from my heart. My tears well up, and from the start, it feels like all I've held in will come out in a flood and tear my carefully constructed world apart. A flood of emotions will spill out, feelings that I've ignored for years, hoping that ignoring them would quell my fears and end my tears. Vulnerability is the ability to open your mouth and let your heart's yearning pour out. To live and speak your truth when you fear no one is on the same page, or maybe even in the same book with you. To believe with your deepest conviction that what you have to say is worth hearing. To spread your chest wide open and say to the world, this is me. Take it or leave it. And to understand that people may leave it. And then what, if they leave it? Where does that leave me, my heart, and I? God knows. It's a risk like jumping from a plane, praying that the parachute will open, but you never really know until you try. It's no use to try to protect yourself. The world will get you in one way or another. But better to live tall and proud, with chest open, than like a crumpled kite that never got a chance to fly. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, our next performer is someone who has been with us since the very start. What is this, episode 6 or 7 we got going on here? But this wonderful woman has been up here, I think every time, or close to it. I'd like to give a big round of applause and warm welcome for Emily.
So I think about the Bible a lot. I get paid to think about the Bible. Canaanite god. And he ends up killing a lot of people. So they have this contest, he wins, and then he slaughters all the prophets of Baal. Yeah, right. So this is about Elijah, and usually the lectionary, which is what we preach from, it kind of skips that part. And it just tells the part about where he's on the mountain listening to the voice of God, but it leaves out the whole reason why he's, run away and cowering on the mountain. So anyway, this is a poem. It's called Elijah After Mount Carmel, which is where we have the term. 1. I believed the Holy One would come blazing down to vindicate me. Maybe your God is dozing, I said, or on a beach somewhere eating dates and sipping wine. Perhaps he has suddenly gone deaf and dumb. Performance anxiety? Or is it constipation? Meanwhile, the priests played themselves bloody, cried themselves hoarse, tried not to think too far into the future. When the fire came, it came also in my veins, and afterward on my sword I found the dark stain of impostors. So many fools. For an instant, I believed I could call down the Almighty from heaven, and I did. I was capable of anything. 2. When the fire has gone, the world goes gray, and the smell of violence is sickening. It's enough to send you into the desert, to bleach yourself clean, to empty yourself of everything. I am a husk of a man. I cannot carry it. I cannot hold any. I want only the darkness of sleep to cover me. Let it cover me. 3. I wanted the darkness to be enough, but hands brought the cake to my mouth and then the fire. Twice the stranger came until my body let itself be fed until it was strong enough to get its story straight. I was the only righteous one left in all the world. Like Noah, or Lot. No, more like Moses, with Pharaoh's army fast closing in, only it's the Israelites at my heels. It's like a dream. Everything is so familiar, but later it will seem so very strange. And now I am approaching Mount Horeb, and there we will have another showdown. 4. I want nothing more to do with fire. I know you could blow through here, lay waste to everything, and where would that leave us? Shake this very ground I stand on. Bring me to my knees. I am already there. 5. For silence, I am unprepared. Is it punishment? Is it absence? Is this what death is like? No sound. Or maybe a low hum. Is possibility a sound? Or is this some giant echo chamber, empty? Save me. How long should I stand here, waiting? 6. The word, it comes and it goes. The world, it remains. Prophets are, it turns out, replaceable, like kings. And the violence, it too goes on, its dark stain spreading through the centuries. And there are more who are faithful than I thought. Meanwhile, there is work to be done. The hand must be lifted to the mouth, the foot, it must be placed on the ground, in front of the other one. And again, out of the cave, back into the desert.
1. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. 11. 12. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17. 18. 19. 20. 21. 22. 23. 24. 25. 26. 27. 28. 29. 30. 31. 32. 33. 34. 35. 36. 37. 38. 39. 40. 41. 42. 43. 44. 45. 46. 47. 48. 49. 50. 51. 52. 53. 54. 55. 56. 57. 58. 59. 60. 61. 62. 63. 64. 65. 66. 67. 68. 69. 70. 71. 72. 73. 74. 75. 76. 77. 78. 79. 80. 81. 82. 83. 84. 85. 86. 87. 88. 89. 90. 91. 92. 93. 94. 95. 96. 97. 98. 99. 100. 101. 102. 103. 104. 105. 106. 107. 108. 109. 110. 111. 112. 113. 114. 115. 116. 117. 118. 119
And this one is because I was telling someone about this open mic night who works at Brew, which is a new coffee shop across the street. And she said she'd been here once before, but she left because it was too heavy. It was too dark. And I thought, oh crap, a lot of my stuff is dark. I can't. So I was like, I'm gonna find one that's not, and I'm gonna read it tonight. So this is called Surely. It's my version of a love poem. Surely. I thought there would be some kind of warning. I didn't think you could just step into my periphery and change everything. But didn't a butterfly in China flap its wings, make a young girl sneeze, shift the currents of air just enough to send a hurricane crashing around our backyard? I remember lighting candles with my brothers, wolfing down ice cream before it could melt. It felt like Christmas Eve, though none of us knew why. Only later did we see the pine broken over the backbone of our swing set. One time, a butterfly fluttered and paused on my chest, just above my heart. The yoga lady said it was a sign. You must hold your tension there, she said. Just let it go. And we stood there, awkwardly, waiting. Surely, when your hand brushed mine, the stock market crashed. California dropped off into the sea. At least, I thought, the light, it felt differently somehow, casting shadows on the familiar and exposing what I'd always overlooked.
Thank you again, everyone. It's excellent. Woo! Okay, next on the mic, we have someone who was here for the first time last time, and I'm looking forward to what he's going to do tonight, Rex.
All right, anybody that's heard from me before knows that I get nervous. Another one is?
No, you can't.
All right, well, I figure out how to lower this. I figured it out. First off, how's everybody doing tonight? I'm twisting this the wrong way. Okay. Anybody else get stuck out in that hellacious rain on I-10? Down out in Congress, if I sit down. I think we should give Melissa another round of applause because I've made the job and took it out from her. Phone battery is at 14%. See if I can do this word that. This poem is called Love. I only have one, but I like to do like Abraham Lincoln, say a lot, a little bit of words. Nice. All right. Love is to you as love is to me. Loving on you is my tranquility. Reading these lines as they start to deplete, breathe into my lungs so my heart can beat. All you want is my heart, but my heart is my dreams. My dreams are the clouds, ripped out of the sky, so where are they now? All that is left are these embers. How could you not remember? 2005, 7th day of December. But anyways, that's past news. That should be the most important date next to the peanuts and cashews. And these Kleenex that are half used from my tears and my heart that is half bruised. You said give it some time and things would change. But here I am, years later, and I still feel the same. I'm supposed to stay on cloud 9, but that's a little out of range. So I stand here, half naked in my hands, looking for love on these long lost plains. But I should really find my innocence. It's too hard to diminish this. I know you're smiling, but stop grinning, bitch. Wait, I didn't mean it. Constantly I'm fucking up. Rex is dead. It's time to toughen up. He loved you twice. You loved him once. Baby, please, no, that's enough. I step back to see what I've done. I gaze in the mirror to see what I've become. I check over my shoulder to see where I've begun. Hypnotized by the sky, knowing I'm not alone. This is not spoken word. This is my home.
Thank you again, Rex. Great job on the mic. Great job working the mic stand for the first time. It was very good. Very good.
Third time being up there.
No, I love it because like when everyone's been getting up here tonight, and what we've seen in previous nights as well, is that it's not just the words that they're spitting, that they're reading off a piece of paper or whatever, or off the phone or whatever. You can feel the emotion in the words that they're saying, and I really appreciate that. What Rex is spitting, what Emily's spitting, what Melissa's spitting. So I really love what y'all are bringing tonight. I want to do a little intro on what my partner here is about to bring up, because this is something that's originally from a brother called Gil Scott Heron. You may know her, his daughter as Jill Scott. But my friend here has paid me a great compliment before. He's told me that a lot of times when he hears me doing something, he thinks a lot about the words of Gil Scott Heron, which is a tremendous compliment to me, and something I haven't really lived up to, but I appreciate what he's doing with that. So this is something that's in that vein here, and with no further ado, this is my friend and partner here, Mendo.
Thank you. This piece is called "Home Is Where the Hatred Is," and just I shouldn't have to give a preface to it because I think the words will speak for itself. This was written, I would say, approximately 30 plus years ago. This was in this, almost 40, right? It was in the early 70s. So there was a lot of things going on in New York, and he said something that was I caught, and I was just like, wow, how did you make it through things? So this is called "Home Is Where the Hatred Is." A junkie walking through the twilight, I'm on my way home. I left 3 days ago, but no one seems to know I'm gone. Home is where the hatred is. Home is filled with pain, and it may not be the last time if I never went home again. Stand as far away from me as you can and ask me why. Hang on to your rosary beads and close your eyes to watch me die. You keep saying, kick it, quit it, God, but did you ever try to turn your sick soul inside out so that the world can watch you die? Home is where I live inside my white powdered dreams. Home was once an empty vacuum that's filled now with my silent screams. Home is where the needle marks try to heal my broken heart. And it might not be such a bad idea if I never went home again. Thank you. Now, just to say one thing to that, I mean, to struggle with drug addiction at a time where drugs were the norm, but to know somewhere in your mind that you're reaching out for someone to be able to hear what you're saying, and then still battle with that, and to split yourself in many ways. And he passed away, I believe now it's about 5 years, 4 or 5 years since he passed away, but that song that he wrote was, it's very deep. And then me, as someone that's the most that I've ever done as a recreational pot, to be able to try to relate to someone that's dealing with heroin and coke addiction, but they're still making music, and making music that's trying to reach people is just amazing, because you never know truly what goes on in people's hearts and what they're dealing with. So that one really means a lot to me. So yeah, so what do we got coming up next?
All right, I'm gonna make you guys listen to one thing from me. Then we're going to get the illustrious Miss Lyric up here. So prepare yourself for greatness. But in the interim, I'm going to do your relationship. You couldn't talk to me for a year, but suddenly you remember how to text. And now you think I want to know about the man in your life who's next. I'm not sure why you think that the person you labeled a reject is now the perfect confidant to tell how much your life is blessed. And I'm not hating on the dude you're with now, but if there's one thing to which I can attest, it's that I don't need any updates from you about your latest romantic quest. You hit me up with questions now like I'm your own personal Google. But during our time together, you treated me like your own personal poodle. And now you come asking for my advice like I'm the teacher and you're my pupil. But the words I'd like to share with you aren't helpful. They're fucking brutal. Maybe there will be a day when I can offer you thoughts that are useful, but the wounds are deep and the scars are fresh, and I can't treat you in a way that's neutral. I don't need to know about your relationship. And if you're happy now, that's great, but I don't want to hear that shit. You may think it's cute to constantly send me your trite little thoughts and quips, but when you showed me the door, I didn't laugh and skip, and through sleepless nights it gave me fits. It took me a while, but I finally got a grip, and now that I did, I don't need to know about your relationship. I'm glad you think we can still be friends, but even friends have borders. And every time you tell me more about him, it leaves my life in disorder. You're naive enough to believe that this is healthy, but to me it's nothing but torture. I used to believe we needed more communication, but your messages just leave me in a corner. And if you want to explain how he's better than me, then there's no way that I can be your supporter. You want to talk to me about your interests that he doesn't share, but I'm not here to fill the gaps of which he's not aware. I was never equipped to play second fiddle, to be your verbal affair. And if you need to discuss things that are out of his scope, then you'll have to look elsewhere. Because I'm not your therapist, and I'm not the bridge that gets you from here to there. So the next time you reach out to me, you really need to prepare that I may not be available to fill out your questionnaire. I don't need to know about your relationship. And if you're happy now, that's great, but I don't want to hear that shit. You may think it's cute to constantly send me your trite little thoughts and quips, but when you showed me the door, I didn't laugh and skip, and through sleepless nights it gave me fits. It took me a while, but I finally got a grip, and now that I did, I don't need to know about your relationship. When things fall apart for you, it seems that I'm still your lifeline. And to this day, I'm still confused as to whether that was your original design. I guess I'm not good enough to be your man, but I'm good enough to be on your mind. And I think that that's my fault, because I've never been one to undermine your thoughts and your hopes and your dreams, dreams that only I could define. But I know there will soon come a time when your call is the only call that I choose to decline. And when this man inevitably falls short, my shoulder is the one you'll want to cry on. But for the first time in your life, I won't be the one to rely on. I won't be the one to protect you in the jungle. I cannot be your lion. I'm not monitoring the progress of your escapades, and you won't be the one that I spy on. I'm not offering words of solace because there's nothing left in us to get high on. And the altar of our love was an altar that I ultimately died upon. So I don't need to know about your relationship. And if you're happy now, that's great, but I don't want to hear that shit. You may think it's cute to constantly send me your trite little thoughts and quips, but when you showed me the door, I didn't laugh and skip. And through sleepless nights, it gave me fits. It took me a while, but I finally got a grip. And now that I did, I don't need to know about your fucking relationship.
So I'm motherfucking man right there, Adam. See, now it's kind of funny because this is what I said that he reminds me of Gil Scott because he's not afraid to express what's on his mind. Your relationship, enough said, because that right there is solid. So right now, what I'm asking is Lyric to come out, please, which is a perfect compliment to come after Adam, because that just keeps it going, keeps the flow going. Lyric, everybody, let's get up for Lyric.
first woman in this world to be deemed beautiful, but now it's a little hard to see history through her eyes when the beauty we stream in is all Americanized, and who's going to be the one to tell her? Now, compared to the other ingredients in the melting pot, you no longer stand out the way you used to. Your features no longer combine to equal beauty because standing in a sea of breathless words is beauty in the flesh. Take note. How many of her great-grandmothers were victims of miscegenation? Generation down, and her melanin decreases if you shave, next victim. Her hair spirals out of control, curls wrapped around insecurities, rephrased questions, all confirm the same idea that she's not black enough. Because being black is something people try to avoid at all costs, like how we go about describing to others as a raceless being because we're all colorblind and no one can really tell, right? It's like imitation of life where we see her how she wants to be seen. Full cycle of her wanting to be seen as beautiful, defined by no one she even knows, but she'll still endorse the concept. Next victim. Light skin, curly hair, we trace her nose to Nigeria, those lips to Sierra Leone, the curvature of her body outlines bones, trailing the Atlantic Ocean, and she's gorgeous. Her smile, no matter how fractured by societal expectations, is beautiful. Her image, outcast shadows of her sisters at the other end of the spectrum, their curls, so tight they form collages in the shape of emptiness, comparing themselves to historical tragedies we silently applaud by making Dorothy Dandridge and Nia Longlaw standards of black beauty. And as wonderful as they are, why are there exceptions to the rule? Like how Gary O'Neill's pretty for a dark-skinned girl, and Michelle Obama is a diva by association. With the line between the two blurs our imagination to think this is the standard. Compliments of the former as the latter holds onto her roots, self-declared aesthetically pleasing features, rippled hair thick enough to capture words of history teachers from her past remind her that the coexistence of this America and this beauty is a figment of her imagination. And that she only gets compliments when Indian ribbon weave is sewn into the final traces of her blackness. She can cut it all out and remind you. She's still the same person without it, more kinky, less impressionable, and if she happens to be staring two guys dead in the face on a 3 train, headed back to Harlem on a Saturday night, she can tell them the truth. That her beauty is on its way back from Ghana, and maybe one day they'll have the fortune of seeing it too.
I like to try to tell everyone that if you need to, read off your phone or off your laptop or off the paper, if you just made some shit up this morning, if you just tried to freestyle when you get up here, that's all good. We want to hear all of it. But if you got some polished shit like that, bring that too. That's pretty damn good. Nothing wrong with some of that either. So that's beautiful. I really appreciate that there. Thank you. Okay, so next on the mic we have a gentleman who was here last week for the first time with Rex, and I'm looking forward to hearing what he has to bring up tonight. Give a big round of applause and a warm welcome to Dale.
Just to let you know, this is also my 3rd time here. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I came here the first time here. What is poetry but a glimpse into people's minds? And inside, what do we find of how differently they think? And all this knowledge you just drink. And we go to college of understanding. Begin to understand through all the ranting, there's a lesson to be learned. One that is way more than inferred. You start to understand how they think, and it's impossible to fathom. Differences in minds is similar to a chasm. How different or similar is inconsistent but comparative. But then again, in the words of Einstein, it's all relative. Because there's always a bit of knowledge that we didn't drink. Something we were taught that maybe just didn't sink. But wait, don't blame. Because I think that your experiences affect the way you see appearances. And the trials you've had let you know good from bad. But what is good and bad more than a difference in opinion? There's no true way to tell which one is genuine. But they could be the same side, just different methods in which they achieve it. No matter what you say, someone will always believe it. Because each one there's a chance of success and failure. But anything is possible as long as we're together. The real life isn't like the comics, and evil isn't blatant. It's disguised as good and keeps you blind so you don't see it, says it. But good and bad is a matter of perception. So maybe those cartoons were actually a suggestion. saying you could be a hero, you could save the world. One way to do that is to inspire, and you can do that in the Word.
My man Dale, blessing the mic again. Let's give it up for Dale. See, one of the things, again, and I know those of you that have been here before, one of the things that we really try to hone in on is the fact that when you come here into our house, into Visions of Babylon presenting UtterDeliverance, you can express yourself in whatever means that you normally wouldn't be able to and feel comfortable and feel as if it's all right, because you won't get judged back here because it's only going to be love. So all we give here is love. So I'm going to ask my man, Babylon AT, who's going to come up next.
Yeah, Sarah.
Can I get Sarah, please? Can I get Sarah? Sarah is the first timer here, so let's give her love like we do here in UtterDeliverance.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
I've been writing since I had a pink journal with a really fluffy pink kitten on the front with a pink locket that had a tiny key that I'm sure I lost somewhere. That was probably about 8 years old, and I've never done this with a microphone before, so wow. Everybody that came before me is super inspiring. So this is a short story. It's called Happiness is Not at the Bottom of a Nutella Jar. In one hand, I had a mini chocolate chip cookie, and in the other hand, a glass of almond milk. On the counter, there was an open container of Nutella, and I had a backup of red wine just in case. I had everything a girl could need to not feel anything for at least several hours. My arsenal of sweets and wine were going to help me declare war on the feelings that I didn't want to feel. Isn't that the yoga way of doing things anyway? Eat Nutella, drink wine. Yeah, I convinced myself that the wine would make everything rosy by the time it hit the bottom of the glass. As I'm eating Nutella and reaching for the next mini cookie, my soul whispered, "This isn't the way, and you know it. Let yourself feel it. Be vulnerable, allow. Don't tell all of your yoga students that they should feel and you not feel yourself." I knew the sweets and wine would do nothing other than make my tongue happy for a few seconds. My soul kept whispering, "This isn't the way, and you know it." I packed up the cookies. I put them back into the cabinet. I reluctantly screwed the lid on top of the Nutella jar and closed the cabinet door. This was the moment to practice breathing on something that felt uncomfortable all the way down to my core. I was squirming to get out of those feelings as fast as humanly possible. I knew how to grab for the sweets, how to grab for the wine. I was reaching for instant comfort in a can. It helped me for as long as it was on my tongue. Never mind that no matter if Nutella was ever going to help me. Never mind that the wine was going to give me rosy cheeks, and nothing more. All of the feelings that I didn't want to feel were still going to come up, even when I hit the bottom of the glass. And those lessons for the brief moments, it was simple. Happiness is not at the bottom of a Nutella jar. Just like any other pose. I'm practicing the pose of feeling. Repetition, they say, is the mother of mastery. So again and again and again, I practice. Then I take action working on those feelings. It's usually a moment by moment kind of practice. And so far, I've learned. Powerful emotions can come rushing in like a freight train without any brakes. They don't care what you're in the middle of or who you're taking care of at the moment. They don't go away just because you wish them to go away. They just come in as fast as they can. They also shift when you shift your focus. Change what you're focusing on. By the way, crying can happen easily, and oftentimes you don't know any idea what to do with it. I've cried in front of all kinds of people. Some know how to handle it, and most don't. apologizing for it. Stop exploring the whole story around why and why and why. Just ask for a hug. I ask for a hug most times. I get one, and it's awesome. Choose an empowering focus. Write down what it is that you're actually going to focus on and freaking stick with it. It takes mental tenacity and a commitment that won't quit. When emotional train hits you, right in the face, put your back on your back, feel the ground underneath you. Roll over. Stand up. Push your feet into the ground like you mean business. Choose your focus, spot on, and go again. One foot right in front of the other. Choose what something means to you. For instance, if you lost your job and there's tons of things you can make up that means about you. Unworthy, not good enough, what a slacker. You can't control those people or those events, but what you can control is what you choose to believe about those events. Perhaps you are worthy. Maybe you're even good enough. And a dedicated worker. Find something eternal inside of yourself. No matter what occurs up here on the surface, you can go right back down to that. I think of it as the stillness at the bottom of the ocean. No matter how the ocean crashes on the shores, the deep ocean deep down is calm. It's what keeps you at peace no matter what. So listen to the whispers of your soul. Allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. The feelings, they're going to come and they're going to go. The choices that move yourself forward. Choose an empowering focus that creates peace, joy. Realize that it's okay not to have everything together. Because by the way, you don't. You're not your past. And it's time for you to choose where it is that you're going now. Be creative and get going.
Thank you, Sarah. Excellent. One quick note, it was pointed out to me by my girlfriend that, this was not the second time Dale was up. You might remember, first time Dale was up, I was not really remembering much of that evening. So, in my mind, that was the second time I saw Dale. Okay, so we have something here from my partner that he's done here before. A great lyrical styling. Let's give a big round of applause again for Mendo.
Yeah. Yes. Little different, little change in the spoken word piece, but we're gonna do it like that. Let's go. Listen close as we take you on this tour. Pain and trauma that we've endured. Searching in and out for a cure. Lyrics down here be simple and pure. Been running around the track for a hot minute. Waiting for you to let me get up in it. I love it straight infinite. And yeah, we struggle, but it's how life be. Cause I see at the end of the race, with all the style and grace, and put a smile on my face. I'm laying back in the cut. You know what, we gonna make it, no matter what they say. With all the doubters, can't believers, laying by the wayside. So many say I can't put it all together now. You remember Heather? Yeah, those were the days back in Boston. Just launched off the path of pen. Cause time and time again I be on that stage. Wordplay done changed since I used to hunt for myself. I run with kids up and tell. Yo, we sit in those smoke-filled rooms. We talk about free doom. Individually, backpacking through the lands like a nomad. And we have opportunities to make it, but we get set back. They tell us that we lack the means to attack. But enemy of the state is right in front. So I be underground like stalagmites, stalactites, and like the heads with this method of speech. Like they in third period. Economics, yo, built-in fiber optics, one eye open, keep the cycloptics. Reminiscing about the days in the cipher. No more Jamie, I'm gonna retire, I'm done with the fighting. But wait, I gotta keep on writing. So give me a minute while I gather my composure. I'm laying on some 30, 40 exposure. Cause each day we get closer and closer to the end. The more I've had in a head, in again. Please listen, half a fifth of Uncle Jack is gone, but I still know right and wrong. I'll let you hear it in my next song, but for now you got it right in front of you. Blunted on these so-called realities. We're bringing home the troops, no more casualties. Remember Grandma vaguely. By the way, Lee, stay close to the edge, because if you look over, you may not find me sober. Thank you. One thing for that, the beat that was played right there, my man MF Love, follow him on Twitter, follow him on Google. My man is a talented producer. If you love music in its purest inception, please follow him. He's on SoundCloud, MF Love. He's a great dude, and I probably wouldn't have wrote that song if it wasn't for that beat. So I just want to pay homage to him. He's not here, he's in Orlando, but I know he'll be watching. So I just love that dude, so thank you.
On that note, too, I want to mention that we always try to promote anything that we can that's part of the scene. So, first of all, if y'all got anything going on, groups, artists, and anything, performances that you want to get up here and let the crowd know about, we would love to have you do that. I always like to mention a few things about other things going on around town that I know about because when I first came to Jacksonville, I didn't think that there was any poetry, spoken word, hell, half the time I couldn't even find any just open mic or music stuff going on. Mostly it was all my own ignorance. But I found out through experience, there's actually a lot of stuff going on around town that's kind of just underneath the surface. You may not realize it's there. Used to be every Monday night at 3 Layers Cafe. My friend Ant had a open mic poetry night going on. And the reason I say it used to be is because he's kind of graduated to the big leagues now. His show now is at La Villa. So make sure you check that out. It's a great night, and I haven't been to La Villa yet. He just had the first one last Monday, so I need to get down there myself. Every other Thursday, first, third, and fifth Thursday of the month, downtown at the Realty Cafe, they have the Cipher, which is actually the first place I ever got up on a mic and did any of this poetry. So I encourage you to get by there as well. Every second and fourth Thursday, there's also going on downtown at TSI, a place called Artistry. They call it Artistry at TSI. So I just like to make sure that, Commentary goes on every Tuesday night now on Forsyth Street. If you hit me up, I'll let you know where that's at. So anyway, at Duke's, that's it. Thank you. Well, it used to be Secrets. That's why I wanted to say Secrets. I'm like, no, that's not the right place anymore. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to do one last thing, and then after this, we got Eddie, and then, not you, Eddie.
I was ready.
We got Eddie coming up, and then we have CJ coming up. So I'm just trying to let everyone know.
Hey, you told me he wasn't going to do something. Now all of a sudden he's going to do something, so I'm a little hype on it.
Well, I should be, yeah. I mean, man's got a rep. What are you going to do,
Cut it off.
Alright, so I wasn't actually planning to do this tonight, but I don't know, just felt like the mood hit me. So this is something that my friends and family know. Haven't seen me do this in other venues. It's called, I like to dedicate this to most of the women that I've loved in my life before. I call it 7 Bitches. I met this woman in Grand Rapids. And she worshipped me like a Greek god. She was a pixie with no life and no past, and she would do anything that I asked. Our relationship was worry-free because she adored me, and she'd do anything just to be in my company. But she camped in our house like a fungus. She paid us no rent, but she was constantly among us. When I left in the morning and came home at night, she was sitting there like some creepy little puppy that just couldn't wait to reunite. Bitch had to go. I met this woman in New Orleans,
And she used to whisper that sexy I poppy shit in my ear. Her breasts made me believe in the power of prayer. And there was nothing more divine than her silky black hair draped across my chest, making me feel like a millionaire. But she invited me over to her house one day, and I thought I was about to get me some Latina buffet. But I didn't realize that I'd been volunteered to sit and watch football and throw down some beers with her husband. Bitch had to go. I met this woman in Munich, and she lit up every room she was in. She smiled so breezily and laughed so easily, and I found myself thinking of her constantly, ceaselessly. She had an innocence that was completely disarming, and an intellect that at times could be jarring, and any time we found ourselves parting, I immediately planned my return. But she griped every time I had a beer, and if I had a cigar, she would soon disappear. She laughed at the frivolity of the sports I follow, and she dismissed my interests as displays of bravado. Bitch had to go. I met this woman in Oxford, and she was one of the finest women I'd ever laid eyes upon. She looked like an angel, and she danced like a slut, and every guy in the club was trying to get a cut. She would cling to my arm, and it was a huge boost to my ego, and all the fellas would buzz around me like hungry mosquitoes. But she drank like a fish, and she couldn't handle her liquor. And while she was lovely to gaze upon, she fucked like a corpse and had a mouth like a wood chipper. That bitch had to go.
Bitch, be gone!
I met this woman in London, and she fit me like a glove. When we met on the dance floor, it was instant love. We sang loudly in public places and got freaky in inappropriate places just to see the look on other people's faces. We danced carefree and awkwardly like only white people can. And none of our time ever required a plan. But she never met a drug she didn't like. And I knew if I stayed, I knew that I might just join her on that hike, because ultimately we were far too much alike. Bitch had to go. I met this stripper in Las Vegas, and she exploited every one of my burgeoning insecurities. I didn't just screw her, I made her my wife. And I actually thought we were starting a life. She gave me 2 beautiful kids and a family that was rife with drama. But it ended the only way that it can when you marry a stripper. We came undone like 2 sides of a zipper. I came to see how she controlled me and suppressed my soul with frightening consistency. Bitch had to go.
Oh.
I met this woman in Jacksonville, and she was the love of my life. She was the kind of woman all my friends could adore. In public, she was effervescent, but in the bedroom, she was a whore. We were companions and lovers and so much more, but she abandoned me in my greatest hour of need, and she steadily withdrew because I would not give her a baby. But I never thought that she would be the one to dismantle our love at the point of a gun and send me a text message saying, "We're done." Bitch left. Thank you. Okay, next on the stage, let's give a big round of applause for Eddie.
Eddie's the first time, so we need to keep it going a little bit longer for Eddie. First time. Super cool. You guys hear me okay? Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you guys because we were talking about the word at the beginning of the night. And with the words, you created a world that gives you opportunity and space for people like me to come up and share. Right? So, I'm about to lose my virginity. First time ever. First time ever doing any
share because you guys created the space for that to happen. So thank you. So here we go. Yes, I'm a teacher, a thinker, an inspiring force, a generator, a motivator with a huge vision for the world. I let myself make struggles take my eyes off the goal. It's easy to do, you see. Again, we go on this shitty road. I feel like I'm running out of time, and yes, this is probably all in my mind. I'm living just for me at this point in my life, and this way of thinking is taking me down the wrong path. I want to be for others. That's what my soul really wants. My ego gets in the way and says, man, I just don't know about that. My relationships account is drying up. My connections account is down the red. All this because I can get the shit out of my head. My marriage seems to be rapidly going down the drain. And although we're physically together, we're so far apart. Maybe not so much physically, but definitely a part of the heart. All about to do. My fears seem to be all coming through. This is not what I want, but this is obviously what I've chosen. There's so much going on all at once. Bills, payments, things to fix, to clean, to read, to do. My mind goes nuts, thinking it can't do it all. Meanwhile, my spirit is crying. Time's so wasted. We better hurry up before the train leaves the station. One of my good friends says, there's no path ahead. The path is made as we walk. And as we walk some more, we look back. We see a trail that we never began past. Every moment is passing by. And not one of those moments will I get back.
Excellent. Big round of applause for Eddie. Yes, you too, Eddie.
Thank
you.
you.
Got Eddie on the ones and twos back there. So.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, our next performer might technically be a veteran, but to look at him, you think he's a newbie tonight. Yeah.
Clean cut!
Clean cut. Looks like he's ready for boot camp. Did not know who he was when he came up and sat next to me, but I want you to give a big round of applause for the comedy stylings of Mr. CJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I walked in, I told Jason I wasn't going to do anything because I don't have a lot of new material prepared, but I can do some old stuff too because there's a lot of people in here that I don't know. So, actually, recently my washing machine broke. In case you couldn't smell me when I walked in, I've been spending a lot of time at the place they call the Laundromat Lounge. You walk into the Laundromat Lounge and the butler says, "Have a seat on the satin furniture. Your machine will be ready in a moment," right? No, it's not like that. The laundromat is the dirtiest place ever, right? Yes. And we go there and we put our clothes in these metal vats that fill with old piped-in water, just full of dead skin cells from everybody else in the city. And we get them out and we're like, yeah, that's clean. Right? That's not clean. I think last time I was there, I fought a lynx tumbleweed. I fought with one. And I saw a gang of cockroaches in the corner haggling over some old clothes. But every self-respecting laundromat has a sign on the bathroom that says, customer use only. Which basically means, if you want to get some diseases from us, at least put your clothes in the metal vats, right? That shit on the seat don't come cheap. So, I've been thinking more and more about the goals that I have in life. Now that my washing machine is broken, the goals of getting a new washing machine. But one of my goals in life is when I get asked at a grocery store if I have a rewards card, I want to be able to say no in such a way that the person won't ask me, well, do you want one? Because that always comes, right? Do you have a rewards card? And if you say, gee golly, I don't, then of course they're going to say, well, it's free to sign up. And you can give us all your personal information. We'll send you all these crappy emails. And you get your identity stolen. It'll be fun. So the goal is to say no in such a way that the woman doesn't ask, do you want it? And I've been coming up with some responses to that. So most of the time I'm asked, do you want a rewards card? I just go like this. Until she gets the point, and then she figures out she's going to bring it up, you know. Or she says, do you have a rewards card? Why the fuck would I have a rewards card? That one only got me kicked out of one grocery store. Or, this is my favorite, you always get to follow this up without having to say why you don't want a rewards card. Do you have a rewards card? My mother was killed by a rewards card. They never questioned that one, ever. No, I feel like when I come up here, you know, I feel like I'm really kind of faking it. It's not fake funny, but my son, I've got a son, he's 6 years old. My son, he is real funny. Like, I'm fake funny, he's real funny. Like, we were in the grocery store the other day, and he goes, look, Dad, it's a red box, but for soda. And I thought, yeah, that is a soda vending machine. It's a red box for soda. Yeah, he's right. It's red box for soda. That's funny. Like, that's creative. Good job, buddy. So then we go home, and I tuck him into bed, and I'm, all right, I'll see you in the morning. Where are you going? I'm going out. Where are you going out? I'm going to the Blockbuster, but for beer. And he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it, but I get it. But I'm a decent father. You know, I try to do all the things you're supposed to do, like, you know, tie his shoes for him, and play catch with him, and tear down his self-esteem with total sarcasm. I try to do all that stuff that he needs, you know. But it is so hard. It is so hard to scream profanities at your kid without looking like you're the one with the problem. You know what I'm saying? It's so hard. So, actually, my son, he's adopted. He's 6 years old, and he's adopted. We adopted him. And it's funny, when you adopt a kid, you tell the story of the adoption. You know, you go and you say, well, yeah, we adopted him. And people always go, oh, I bet it was so great you fostered him. And he just fit in so well with your family. Everything was so natural and wonderful. And then he just fit so well in your home. And then you just decided to just keep him forever. We did the same thing with our dog. Like, yeah, it was just like that. Except when I take him for a walk, I don't put him on a leash. And if he goes and poops in the neighbor's yard, I don't scold him for it. I just let him do what he wants to do. There are some people who actually put their kids on leashes, right? You've seen those? My wife is adamantly opposed to them, which makes his monogram collar like totally. I know, we got that Sky Mall, and yeah, it's just, it makes no sense. She doesn't want to use it, but I'm like, this is great. It's got a little spot for his vaccination. We go to the vet, meet with the doctor, you know, doctor. Actually, my wife is also pregnant, so the reason I was late here tonight is because we were at a birth class. And we were at this birth class, and they're handing out all this stuff about natural birthing, and we're going natural, you know, which is basically take the hardest thing you've ever done and do it like the worst way you've ever done it. You know, that's why we're going natural. It's a challenge. So we're going natural, and we get this list that says, okay, if you get to 42 weeks, you got to induce pregnancy, right? But you got to do it in a natural way. You can't use the drugs to induce. So, 42 weeks, right? Number one on the list, sexual intercourse to induce pregnancy. My first thought was, is there any pregnancy that's induced without sexual intercourse? Like, of course that's number one on the list, right? My second thought was, who the hell wants induced pregnancy during sexual intercourse? Like, you can use your imagination, but that just seems like the worst idea ever. But, yeah, exactly. We actually talked tonight about some people like to ingest the placenta. Yeah, people do that. Thankfully, my wife and I are not going to do that, but people do that, and they were talking about it, and I thought my first thought was, sweet, they're recording my response right now. I'm going to candid camera. It's going to be awesome. And I remember candid cameras not on anymore, and I thought, this must be Punk'd. And I thought, Ashton Kutcher went crazy, so this isn't Punk'd. And I realized they were serious about actually eating the placenta. Ridiculous. But it's supposed to do something about like getting the woman to have their nutrients back, right? The nutrients that are lost during pregnancy. And I said, I raised my hand and I said, you know, I let out some brown nutrients earlier. No one has said to me that I need to get those nutrients back. I've gotten this far in life following one simple rule. If it comes out of your body or out of anyone else's body, don't eat it, right? Don't eat it. There's one exception to that rule. There's one exception, and I don't want to be vulgar or anything, but it's boogers. It's boogers, right? It's boogers. No, but since I'm not really too afraid of anything happening, you know, tonight I'm going to talk about racism for a little while. So it's, you know, something easy that we can talk about. You know, that everybody's comfortable. Yeah, you know, light and airy. Which I'm sort of like an affirmative action comedian, which means like I mostly joke about white people, but like this punchline, I'll throw in like one black person and like 0.5% Asians, you know, for marketing purposes. That's it. But we are really sensitive about race. You know, people are so sensitive because they want to be politically correct. So this takes me back to high school when I was in Spanish class, which was really forward-thinking. I signed up for Spanish class. It was really forward-thinking because there were way more girls in Spanish class than there were in French class. So, you know, forward-thinking. So when I'm in Spanish class, we had all these posters on the wall that were like, Días de la Semana, and Meses del Año, and Yo quiero Taco Bell. This was in the 90s, you know, they didn't care about that kind of stuff, but Yo quiero Taco Bell. And there was a poster that said, Los colores de la tierra, the colors of the world. And it had the colors, right? Rojo. And then it had a picture of an apple. Azul. And then it had a picture of a blue t-shirt. Blanco. And a picture of a white guy. And then it had negro. And a picture of a black guy. And I had to raise my hand. Miss Pitts. And Miss Pitts was her name. Miss Pitts. That was her name. And that's funny. That's funny for a variety of reasons. Miss Pitts, her first name was Tara. Tara Pitts. And it was funny because Tara Pitts, if you switch the first sounds of those, it's paratits. Right? And that was funny because she was busty. So, Miss Pitts was Tara Pitts, whose paratits was a busty Spanish teacher. And I said, Miss Pitts, I think your poster is a little bit racist. And she said, ¿Por qué? And I said, well, the word for black is just a fancy Spanish pronunciation. And you've got black guy next to it. I think that's kind of racist. And she said, ¿Por qué? And I said, well, it's negro, which is another word, like in English, negro, which is like a black guy next to it. Like, that's unacceptable. And she said, well, it's fine, because it says blanco right here, and there's a white person next to it, so it's equal. And I said, I've never seen any posters from the slavery area that's offering $150 for blancos, right? I've never seen that. And she said, you're being intolerant. You need to leave the room. And I said, that's gay. Which is another issue that we could probably talk about and everybody would feel real comfortable. But you hear about homosexuality a lot in the news, right? And when you hear about homosexuality, the people that are against it, you know, they always say, did you hear what those homosexuals did? And the people that are for it are like, did you hear what those homosexuals did? Right? That's the response. It's either or yeah. It's always one or the other. And the people who are against it, they always say, marriage needs to be between a man and a woman. Right? That's the way they say it too. You gotta throw your lip now. Marriage should be between a man and a woman. They should cooperate and consummate and calculate and repopulate and instigate and masturbate and insinuate and confabulate and adulterate and dissociate and intimidate and legislate, divorce and get married to someone else like God intended. Oh, that's it for me. I'm out of here.
CJ!
I like how CJ you threw some poetry there at the end. That's pretty cool. Okay, so we have our next performer is someone you've seen earlier, and I'm excited to see again, is Emily. Is this? It's not Emily? I think we can follow that.
Oh.
That's what this is all about.
So this thing happened in the news in Davidson, North Carolina, which is a little tiny town, has Davidson College. And this Episcopal church had a piece of art commissioned for their church. And it's a statue of Jesus, right? But it looks like a homeless person sleeping on a bench outside the church. So this woman, this Christian woman, is driving by late, one night, and she sees this homeless guy sleeping on the bench in her neighborhood, and so she calls the cops. And the cops show up, right? And it's a statue of Jesus. So the news finds out, and they come, and the thing that killed me was this woman, this Christian woman, was livid. She was so angry that it was Jesus. And then he was depicted as a homeless person, and she said, that is not who Jesus is. Jesus is not a vagrant. So being a pastor, I thought, well, I feel like I need to respond to this. So this is my response. It's called Revelation in Davidson, North Carolina. It was late when she turned onto Caldwell, wondering if the kids were in bed yet, if her husband had remembered to take out the recycling. She was ticking through emails, still unanswered, when she spotted the dark form lying, knees to chest on a bench in front of St. Albans. Just what we need, a vagrant in the neighborhood. Thank God for the police, she thought, and reached for her phone. This is where I want to freeze the frame and help her out of her car. There is enough room on the bench for her to sit and rest a minute. When her mind has cleared and her breathing slowed, I want to take her hand and place it gently on the bronze folds of his blanket. I want to guide it to the rigid feet, cold and exposed. I want to take her thumb and place it in the hole.
Oh.
That's probably going to come out of my pay. Thanks. Alright, so I did this last week, and I'm trying to feel a vibe. One of the young brothers that was in here earlier that did something was Dale. And I got a little vibe off of what he did. So I did this thing called I Spit, right? So my partner says, hey, you know what? We need to get these t-shirts that say I Spit. And I was like, oh, word. So I put that little seed, I Spit. So then the kid came up and started doing something. I was like, oh, shit, I spit. Oh, let me write something. So I wrote something. So here this one goes. I shit based off of life. I spit because shit is tripe. I spit when you didn't expect it. I spit for those who neglect it. I spit when they turn the lights off. I spit because you think this is soft. I spit based on where I'm from. I spit because people think this is dumb. I spit because where you never knew. I spit for those who thought we were through. I spit for those who were searching clues. I spit for those who paid the dues. I spit for those from dusk till dawn. I spit for Babylon. And now, ladies and gentlemen, 7-1 AD will do his intro defense. That was a joke. Just kidding. No, just kidding. All right, so right now on the list, I would like to have Lyric come up on stage and bless us another time. Please. Give it up for Lyric. And just real quick before Lyric comes up, I know we got a little Boston, New York thing going, but there's nothing but respect for what you do because that's love. I'm just saying, because, you know, sometimes, see, if her and I were right now in the northeast corridor of the world, we'd be battling with either the Knicks, Celtics, or Yankees, Red Sox. We'd be brawling right now, you know what I mean? So I just love how she came here and blessed us with this here. So also, if you haven't seen Adam and you want to get up on stage and do something and share with us, because that's what we do here with Visions of Babylon, we share, please see Adam and he will get you up here. Lyric.
Must I really get up here and tell you how strong I am? How I don't need a man to justify the fact that I can stand on my own 2 feet? Must I tell you that the world wouldn't exist if I didn't have the power to give birth to the next generation? Do you really want to hear about how women are oh so strong? We've been suppressed for so long. We've been singing the same old "we shall overcome" kind of songs to the point that we've grown to become resistant. In every sentence with the words "girl power," and I refuse to tell the world what it already knows, and I refuse to be categorized. They're either housewives or hoes. Or I will lastly should be the superwoman from 24-inch speakers just to be sure that you can hear me. The goal is not to have you fear me, but to make you understand that I will not curse the world out for thinking I'm something lower than a man, and I will not get an attitude when guys watch pornography and hate the ground that natural women walk on because we were not trained to act like them. Yes, said trained, but this is not one of those "you're a dog" poems, you fuck anything in a skirt poems, you want to be left alone when I want to talk, and I'm also sick of it type poems. However, this is one of those, I wish I would raise my voice because you are so not worth the energy right now, and I was sick with all the power that God gave me through the resistance of Eve because she was blamed for being brave and not listening, and that is my type of chick type poem. I just want you to know that every morning I wake up and thank God. Chance of getting prostate cancer are 0 to infinity. The only time I will see blue balls is when the Harlem Globetrotters are playing. Society doesn't expect for me to lift 300 pounds of weight daily so that I can have a body like the Terminator. Amen. And don't worry, this is not the part of the poem where I tell you kept this down for so long and you know it was wrong. Maybe I wanted to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Maybe I wanted to be a doctor, a Supreme Court justice. Just my luck, I'm a 90s baby, paid in full, and I'll do all the I choose. How about we turn on the TV and see me on the news, and if you're looking at me as though you're confused, guess what? I won. See, it's just that I'm done with the whining kind of poems, the poems that make you want to smack the performance for telling you something you already know, but my goal is to enlighten. I might get a little too loud for your liking, but it's not to frighten, it's just that I'm sick of women getting offended with God. I'm sick of women getting offended with God called them vicious. That's not your name, then guess what? He's not talking to you. So get over it. And now I'm pissed because you're going to go home and write a poem about how once upon a time you ruled the world and how you and Nikki Giovanni are ego-tripping type of girls. I will be in the audience, pulling at every single strand of my hair, which may be just a little less painful deserve, worthy enough to hold name, which is bitch. Nah, just one. W-O-M-A-N. That's what it's all about.
I'm telling you right now, keep it going from there. Keep it going from there, please. Please. Thank you. Seriously. You keep blessing us. You keep blessing us. So I'm going to take from the silence in the crowd, silence meaning that nobody else wants to get up on stage. Oh wait, someone calling somebody out. I heard Justin. Hold on a minute. My man, hold on. Come on, bring the phone out. Bring him out. Justin. Yeah, that's right. All right, so we're gonna have another cherry pop tonight. My man Justin gonna come up on stage. First time here at UtterDeliverance. Keep it going for Justin. We don't know what he's gonna do, but I have a feeling that it's gonna be all right. Come out with an Orioles hat. All right. What's up, man? All right, so what do you got? You got spoken word, you got poetry, you got flow, you want to rap? What you got? I'm gonna say right now, it's called Justin. Boom.
These are just marks from an unmasked man. We were all plastic under the same sun, slipping on tears of blood while splashing reality's bloody puddle of mud. Hardened by the truth of today, we know not where tomorrow will take us. Thrown from the path of euphoria, I fall into darkness. Dark holes open from the ground, swallowing everything whole. Relate to the world around. All I want is to feel loved.
Oh, hey, keep bringing the love. All right, we got this going here tonight. Visions of Babylon is doing something tonight. I love this. So, we're gonna do a little something. Adam and I, little closing piece for right now.
You may have heard this before.
Some of you have, some of you haven't. We call this somewhere in Las Vegas. So this is what we're going to do.
It's 11 p.m. I'm drunk, I'm high, and I'm in Las Vegas. I'm sitting at a blackjack table, restlessly, and the 60-year-old transvestite sitting next to me can't keep his purse or his hands off my knee. I get up and leave, but I'm on a crazy winning streak, and I can't help but think that somehow my luck is tied to this freak. As the count increases, I double down, and I begin to drown in a sea of chips as the pit bosses frown. I order the table, another round, and these losers, they find themselves hopelessly bound to a game they despise, a game that confounds. As their kids' college funds are whittled away, every chip that they lose seems to ricochet my way. The more that I drink, the more recklessly I play, but my luck doesn't turn. No, it only multiplies and sends the casino into disarray. After an incredible one of 21s, the floor manager taps me on the shoulder and says, "Son, your time in our casino is definitely done." But I just laugh indignantly, and I get up and walk out triumphantly with $5,000 of crisp new money, and the tranny gazes after me wistfully.
Polar opposite in extreme measures. Secret endeavors, they say he'd be so clever. However, I be the modern-day man who used to be Jay Gatsby, now go by the name of Mendo, actually.
I'm drunk, I'm high, and I'm in Las Vegas.
Spitting verses from the get-go, let's know this is the norm. We've been known to conform since the days of the dorm. Yo, we weather the storm.
I'm drunk, I'm high, and I'm in Las Vegas.
As the moon's on the rise and lyrics be crisp and mesmerizing, JB realizes this dream's a reality, but at night I fight these fallacies. Remember the days that it was? Well, I guess it's just because
I'm drunk, I'm high, and I'm in Las Vegas.
So this is the devil's playground, and how do we stay sound, living here bound in these virtual shackles? I hear the whispers and cackles. But as derelicts of dialect show me how to reflect.
I'm drunk, I'm high, and I'm in Las Vegas.
I've been known to express myself on many levels of spiritual planes, to refrain from the mundane, down deep roots of pain. That I know that once you feel my appreciation for this, as my passion leaves you speechless, now that I have you, know my wordplay is seamless.
It's 1 a.m. I'm drunk, I'm high, and I'm in Las Vegas. I'm standing in a nightclub, and I'm not sure if it's a strip club or a gay club, but I know it's not the right club. All I can confirm is that it's a grimy hub full of strangers searching for any excuse to pump and grind and rub. I'm motionless at the center of the dance floor as the sea of bodies throbs in time and implores the DJ for more and more and more. They're oblivious to my presence. Beating down on me as the ocean beats upon the shore, but amazingly, a cocktail waitress cuts and slices her way to me through the undulating crowd, paying no attention to elbows that bruise her grievously. Having reached my island of rigidity, she stares through me vacuously and asks if I'd like anything to drink. I order a shot of Patron, a White Russian, a whiskey sour, a vodka martini, and 3 whole mangoes. Without hesitation, she heads back to the bar, and I gaze at the light show as an astronomer gazes at the stars, savoring hallucinations, grotesque and bizarre, that are spawned by the sting of cheap cigars and the lasers that cause corneal scars. It's 2 a.m. I'm drunk, I'm high, and I'm in Las Vegas. After 20 minutes of staring at the dashboard, I finally pass the test. I remember how to start my car, and I begin the quest for breakfast. Casino lights streak across my windshield, leaving me hypnotized, possessed. And as the speedometer races, my head nods, and I know that I need rest, but I still believe I can somehow find a cold beer and welcoming breasts. Maybe one night this will end in arrest, but for now, it seems that I'm constantly blessed. So rather than curling up in my bed, I'll find somewhere else to be an awkward guest. The asshole sitting next to me at the stoplight stares into my car like he's never seen the sight of a white guy blasting NWA from his Volkswagen Rabbit in the dead of the night. I'm about to flip him off when he throws on his flashers, and he pulls over the idiot who just ran the light in front of us like a party crasher. And as I cruise down the street, my casual escape only makes me bolder. It makes me brasher. It's 3 a.m. I'm drunk, I'm high, and I'm in Las Vegas.
So there's this amazing chew at Samuel's Barbecue, so I decided this is where I'm going to chew. As I walk in, 50 silent Asians stare at me, as I haven't got a clue. So now the host is yelling at me some gibberish, like I don't know what to do. As if she's not about to give in, she starts to escort me to the table, the premium table, mind you, right next to the kitchen door and the shitter. So when my food arrives, I wonder if those Chinese chefs are spitters. They give me rice, pork on the bone, chopsticks, because apparently forks and knives are for round-eye quitters. But I won't let them know that I'm bitter. I spend the next 2 agonizing hours struggling mightily with those chopsticks. Every bite falls back to the bowl. As I stir and toss, it makes me more and more like a raving lunatic. I fruitlessly stab and wonder what the magic trick is to get this food into my belly quick. Finally, I realize that I'm too hungry to be slick. So I grab the bowl and put it to my face. And I devour Samuel's Barbecue like a crazy wild-eyed record. And when I leave this place with sauce splattered all over my face, the 50 silent Asians stare at me, wondering.
It's 5 a.m. I'm drunk, I'm high, and I'm in Las Vegas. I'll be reporting for duty in 2 hours, but there's no time left for alarm clocks and showers. Later, I'll be scolded by military powers, but for now, I'm still searching for candy to devour. The home I'm in is not my own. The couch I sit on is not my own. The home I'm in looks like a war zone. The people here are all unknown, and they all commit acts that cannot be condoned. There are 3 guys fucking in the back bedroom. There are 2 girls making out in the front room, with 2 other guys hovering so close that they can make out the girls' perfumes. The stereo spits a spastic mix of gangster rap, country music, and show tunes. The girl nestled next to me gives me no leg room, and she stares at me with an awkward mixture of lust and impending doom. I can't tell from her expression whether she wants to fuck or whether there's something horrible stuck to my face, something she wishes she could pluck. Her touch is warm and inviting, but I'm disturbed, I'm thunderstruck by the fact that I can't judge her beauty. My mind has run amok. I can process all the details of her face. My mind can identify her hair color, her smile, her weight, her race, but somehow the categories of gorgeous and ugly have both become interlaced. She strokes the bulge in my pants and starts to come in for a kiss, but my fleeting attention has already become completely and utterly focused on the center of the living room and a 50-year-old cocktail waitress. She dances awkwardly and alone and doesn't realize anything's amiss. She waves her arms around like a little girl who needs to take a piss. And when she closes her eyes, I can visualize as she starts to reminisce about a time when she wasn't an embarrassment, when she wasn't a meth addict. No one else seems to notice her, and I wonder if she even exists. She motions for me to join her, and I shake my head, but she insists. And at this point in the morning, I'm not sure exactly what I can resist. For that matter, I'm not sure if the tongue in my ear belongs to the girl on my side. And I'd leave this place if I could just remember how to get outside. But the confusion that I'm dealing with now is the confusion that I supplied, so I close my eyes and wait patiently for the daylight to be my guide. It's 7 a.m. I'm still drunk.
Still high.
I'm still high.
Still in Las Vegas.
And I'm somewhere in Las Vegas.
Guys, thank you very much. That is Visions of Babylon. We are Visions of Babylon. I go by the name Mendo. My man Babylon AD. We thank you for
thanks
coming
to
here.
everyone for getting up on the stage.
Totally. We had some new people come out tonight. We really appreciate it. It's every second and fourth Wednesday. Remember that. You can follow us on Facebook at Jack's Poetry.
Facebook.com/Jack's Poetry.
You can follow us on Google+, Visions of Babylon. You can also follow us on Twitter. We're always putting that stuff out there. One other thing, we will be at Wonderground August 2nd. We will be performing there, so that's going to be cool that we're getting our vibe out. People are going to see that. So, again, remember, every second and fourth Wednesday, we really appreciate everyone coming out here and sharing with us. It's nothing but love. Come back and see us in 2 weeks on July 9th.
Thank you, everybody.
What you got, E?
Shit.
I think I want to do a little crazy freestyle.
Oh, yeah? Hold on.
You might have the mute might be on. Because I was screwing around before.
What?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, I didn't know.
Maybe I just know that maybe you and Mac don't get down like that.
We don't. Because it's not, Ha ha! Ha ha!
Yeah. Bless it. Yeah. My man E, Rosie on the beat. Thank you much. We're gonna say it like this. JD, check it. Yeah. I go by the name of Benzo, so let's go. You know from the get-go, I come from the town of B-Town. That's right, you know we get down. Been profound for a minute, that's why I get up in it. I know you've been so cynical, but that's alright, because I've been known to be critical of my own flow and my wordplay. But I must say now that you know Jay, I say, what's up now, we go. Cause we know back in the day when I used to play the games people play each and every day. You know that's right, I'm coming back, I messed up the flow, but it don't matter, cause you know how I know this is what we go when I come back and say something else. It's right, yo, I follow for myself back when we used to do what we do each and every day. That's how we play. My man Babylon AZ, I got my man D, I got my man ATL in the crowd, yo. They come back and give you the love and show me what's out. You know the playing ball on the court, that's right, we represent. Yo, call the association, that's how we make the nation. That's right, we play each and every Monday. You say how we go each day. I'm fucking clouded. I wish I could breathe. I really do wish I could freestyle like those guys in this song be like, concepts and subjects make matters in this way, and you say how we play. I'm grabbing a chair and I go blow. That's right, you know how we come back down low. I sit there and flow with the microphone. No, that's right. I go, you know, we know, they go. Back, rain dogs, and you. I really wish I could do that. Like that would be like, I can just get up and just like.
Just a hit of a button.
Pretty smooth. It.
Yep.
You need like some scratching.
I know, right? Should have had little mini tables. That was a good show, mate.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. I'm proud of y'all guys, man. I'm really proud of you guys.
I was pretty happy. It went off pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like these last two shows, tonight and last time, have actually been lighter attended than the previous shows, but not in a bad way. I mean, not like it's dead or anything.
Right.
So, I'm feeling pretty good, man.
Oh, yeah. Vision is really coming clear, man.
Thank you, man. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's always funny because every time before the show, like he's nervous like a little girl.
Right.
He's like, oh, no one's gonna show up. And what are we gonna do? What order are we gonna do stuff in? I'm like, we'll go set up the mics. We'll go do this thing. You know?
Let it float.
Shit'll come together.
Oh, yeah.
It would be nice. I do miss having Christian. That was pretty cool because he could do that kind of intro, outro shit. You know, made it feel real polished and everything. Yeah. But you know.
Oh, yeah.
Since we weren't exactly paying him a lot.
Yeah. Really can't. Yeah.
She really likes you, so I mean that's good. And for her to give me the feedback like that means two things. It means one,
Yeah.